Hi everybody, and welcome back to our show from this CornerTV. And I'm Marilyn, Dayton, your host and producer, and I'm really excited because I just realized yesterday that we have completed 1 year with this show. So congratulations to us. When I was in TV back in the 80s, I was on for about six years. So hopefully we'll be on for at least 6 years with this great show. And I say great because we are getting comments from all over the world. I just wanted to let you know that we had a comment from somebody in London, England, somebody from California, somebody's watching down in Georgia, probably family. And then we have somebody in Japan, and we've been getting nice comments. People say it's an enjoyable show. They like the quality of the people that we've been getting on the show, which really makes us feel good. And so we got another great show for you. Remember, get out your pen and your paper and be ready, because have you ever talked to somebody and had specifically in your mind what you wanted to say and they didn't receive it the same way you meant it? Well, that tells you, I mean, that's happened to all of us more than once. And that tells you the power of words. Words can make a good impression or a bad impression, depending upon what words you use. So that's going to be our subject today, the power of words. Words, you're going to learn things that you can apply to yourself personally and professionally. So our guest today is Michele DeLima from Right Transformation. And she is passionate about writing. Every time she talks about it, you can tell she's passionate. And what she does in her work today is she helps entrepreneurs and organizations connect with their ideal audience, bring their vision to life, and make the world a better place. And that's great. Michele is going to share with us how the power of the right words can make all the difference in what you're trying to convey in both your personal and professional lives, which is really, I can't wait to hear more. Now, when we talked last week, you said that you started being passionate about words and stories when you were a child.
Oh, yes.
And that made a huge impression on you, and that started all of this. So will you talk about that, about your favorite authors and how these books changed your life when you were a child?
Sure. The biggest moment came when my dad gave me Gone with the Wind when I was 11. It wasn't the first printing. I think it was the second printing. It was 1,036 pages. And I just loved that book, and I was transfixed by that book. And it was like living in a different world, and these people, I just became so intimately aware of them and their feelings and their actions. And I read the book over and over. I would just open it up and read from anywhere. And I wrote a big book report on it, and I was so excited. And then my sister, who was in high school, was reading War and Peace. So when I was done with Gone with the Wind, I jumped into War and Peace. Why not? And then there were so many other books. You know, there were the Bronte sisters, there was Jack London, there was Dickens, there was, titles like Far from the Madding Crowd, and just the list goes on. And I just felt so transformed by these books and the words, to the point I could live there. If I'd been given the chance, I would have just spent every single day reading all day. But then as the years went by, I started realizing that I really loved writing, and I loved the places that books could take you, and I started to incorporate that into some of my own work. And then friends started asking me, hey, can you help me? I'm trying to write this paper and I'm not doing a very good job. Can you help me? So I did. I started doing some of that, and I just really enjoyed it. And then as then time went on, I went through school and started working, and then people that I worked with would come to me and say, hey, Michele, can you help me clarify this? And And so I was doing that, and along with my own work, which was initially working in the banking world as an analyst, interviewing business owners, understanding what their history was, what their values and philosophy were, where they were heading, and getting my arms around everything about them so that I could help them attain the credit they needed. So I would write out their proposals and evaluate the companies and tell their story to get approval from the credit committees. And then it just so happened, like, the analysts are always like, oh my God, Michele, this is great. You just really made it so clear. It helps us do our job. And so I always thought of myself as a really well-paid writer, even though I was in the banking world. And I think that's what I really loved. And I started to realize that one could tell stories in many different ways, and the stories come from many different sources. So even though I loved all those books as a kid, and I still do, I'm a very passionate reader, there's so many other stories to tell. These business owners had stories to tell. And then I went from working in Fortune 500 realm in banks to working with business development, starting to work with micro startups and very small businesses. I was working up in Maine, and I really loved that because that was much more one-on-one, and this was like right at the beginning, like working with people, helping them launch their dreams. Fast forward a bunch of years, and I was working for Fleet Bank out of Boston. They got taken over by Bank of America.
Yes, they did.
And so this was April of 2004, we got the announcement, and they announced that my group of 42 people were going to get laid off. Yahoo! I qualified for 6 months of severance and 6 months of insurance, fully paid. It's like a paid vacation. I was so excited. So what am I going to do next? So they kept us on. Our new boss kicked me out of my office. I got kicked around to like this whole other place, but that was fine. And it was very private. And then the work started trickling off to almost nothing. So I spent my days online, trying to find my next career, going on eBay because I really wanted that vintage silver set that I always really had a hankering for.
Yeah.
Why not? And the J. Jill clearance sales. I mean, this is how I spent my summer. So I found this woman, Marcia Yudkin, who turns out to be this world-renowned marketing guru. She was offering this copywriting course. So I grabbed it. I'm like, oh my God, I can do that. It's the best of everything. It's working with clients, learning what their stories are, and it's writing, and it's, deep analysis and thought and taking all that in, and then creating marketing messages and stories for them so that they could go out to the world and tell their story. So it's taking all the best stuff that I really loved throughout the 16 years that I was in commercial banking, but now doing it in a very intimate way for people that became my own clients. So I got to get rid of all the bank gobbledygook, like all the restructurings and all the meetings, endless meetings, and all that stuff, and just really focus on the people that I was working with. And just, and I fell in love with my clients. They're wonderful people, and they're passionate, and they want to achieve big dreams. And what would happen, though, is that one-on-one or on the phone or whatever, they could convey all the wonderful things that they had to offer. And people could see right away what splendid people they were, and they get them right away, and they can see, these are very sincere people, we really like you, I can tell you really want to help me. But then they would want to write something, and they wanted to convey that same spark and that same personality and that same vision and mission and all that good stuff, and they couldn't. What they were writing fell flat, and it was really sad. And so that's where I come in. So when I work with people, I help them create that vibrancy, that excitement, that personality, and I also help them get that message out so people really understand it and they feel comfortable, and you start to build rapport and trust when you read something that speaks to you. So that's how that's how I help people.
Wow, that's quite a story. When I learned that you were in the banking industry, and I kind of, it was kind of like seeing the color black for a while, which actually slows down and sometimes stops your brain waves. I kind of went, pause. Okay, I was trying to picture the banking industry, the finance industry, and writing. Yeah, so you've explained it very well. You actually helped a lot of people get the money that they needed to get because
Yes.
you made their story so clear.
Yes.
And that's part of what your ability is that people need to realize. It's not just passion. You know, we can be passionate about something, but it doesn't mean that we're really good at it. It just means we're passionate about it. This is a woman who has the passion and the ability, which is a wonderful package. It really is.
Thank you.
And you know, when we were talking months and months ago, the first time, we were at the Southeastern Connecticut Women's Network.
Yes.
And I said, you know, I can visualize, we're going to do a show and we're going to call it The Power of Words. And then you got busy with stuff and I got busy with stuff and we didn't reconnect, and it wasn't meant to be back then because she's recently changed the name. You've changed the name of your website,
Yes.
the domain name,
Yes.
and your business name. Tell us, because that's the power of words, tell us what the name of your business was before and what it is now, and which we've already told people, but why did you change it?
When I first picked my URL, I was stuck. And I couldn't think of a good name. And I thought of some things, but then those URLs were taken. And I just struggled. And I needed to do something. I had to set up my website.
Yeah.
And so I picked Copywriting for Business. It's concrete, it's to the point. You know, people would get it. Although once in a while I'd have somebody like, well, can you help me with my patents? And I'm like, no, that's not me. It's the other kind of right.
Oh,
So,
oh boy.
but that didn't happen too often. But it didn't have a lot of spark, but it was very functional. It was to the point and it was fine. And then over the years, I kept trying to think of something better, you know, something with more spark. And you know, every once in a while I go through this big fit of trying to, oh my God, I got to think of a new name. And then about a year and a half ago, I really wanted to do this for myself. I needed to upgrade my whole website. I had a very dear friend that I was working with who is a designer. She and I have done many, many things together, Gina Morin. And it was time. I was going to totally rebrand my website. It needed to be updated, looked really super professional. And I tried valiantly to find a name. And I probably went through 100 different names, no go. All of them were already taken. I was looking through the dictionary trying to find words. I mean, I was desperate. And then it wasn't happening for me. So I just figured, all right, I'll just go for it. I'll just keep what I have. The website looks beautiful. I've updated all my copy to reflect where I was at the time, and more on that later.
Okay.
But in the last few months, I have been doing a mastermind program with this amazing woman, Marge Pacini.
Oh, she is amazing.
She
yes.
is, and she's helped me transform my world. And I've also joined eWomen Network, and all these amazing things kept happening, and I was going through this transformation. And the more I learned and the more I opened my heart and mind and soul to all of these incredible women and opportunities, like more would come my way. And it's like the more excited I got. And what I learned is that, you know, the more I do, the more I learn, the more I expand, the more I can give back. And the more I can be true to my mission, really, which is helping people express themselves to the world. Because the more that they can do that, the more people they help. And then I have a part in helping them do that. So I feel like I'm helping everybody if I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just dawned on me, like last December, it's like, what about right transformation? I'm like, oh my God. So, oh no. I mean, when I tell you, I checked like right, you know, WRITE against like every word imaginable. I did, and nothing, all those URLs were taken, but I'm like, I wonder if this URL is available, and it was. So I just felt like it was a message from God, you know. It's like, this is it. Yeah. The universe is saying, yes, this is it. This is what you do. Of course, I love a play on words when I can sneak it in.
Yeah.
I love double meanings. So but that's what I do. And then my new tagline is elevate your brand from ordinary to in demand. And so people's brands, it's not just what you see visually, it's their whole person. It's their personality, their values, their way of talking, their way of being, their energy, and all of that gets translated into their virtual presence as well, as you well know.
Yes.
So I like to tell people, whenever you're stepping out into that virtual world, you go with it. This is your virtual persona that's stepping out into the world. And as we all know, you only have moments to make that first impression. So what's that impression going to be? That first instant is, what do people see? Then the next instance, if it were just me talking, or anybody talking one-on-one, it's the words that come out of our mouths, and it's the expression on our faces. In the virtual world, what you have is you have the imagery, but you also have the written word. And so that imagery might capture somebody's attention and hold it for a moment, a couple of moments, but then what happens? Then you have to catch their attention and keep it with the words that you write. So that's why that brand is so important, and that's why it was so important to me, is that, I have to walk the talk too. I can't just be telling people to do this and then have a website that, reflects me like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I have to keep up with myself too, and so that's what I've done. That's why it was so important to me that I find the right words to express myself in my own website, so that when people land there, they recognize themselves, and those are the people, when they feel like, oh my gosh, she really understands me, she gets me, oh my God, she's talking to me, then those are the people that I want to work with, because there's the connection that we start to form. And that's how I like to help my clients, is so that when they step out into the virtual world, in the virtual space, when people land on their websites, or they pick up a print document or whatever it is, that people, they connect right away. And then they say, oh, she really gets me, she understands me.
When I think about, writing can be very flat, and it can not always show your personality, usually doesn't. And the fact that you took what in the financial world is pretty flat writing and made it a story about the business or the person who was looking for a business loan, whatever the situation was. I mean, that's an amazing training ground. What you're doing now must seem a lot easier than that.
Yeah, it is. Oh, pardon.
I'm sure there's a challenge, here
Oh,
and
of course
there.
there is.
Because it's not an easy thing to do. I know, because I've been doing writing all my life, since I could hold a pencil. And I love doing it. Sometimes it comes really easy. And then there are times when it's like, oh my God, I can't, it's just not there.
Yeah.
What am I doing wrong? Where do I need to look? Do I need to get up and walk away?
Yes.
Which is usually the case.
Yeah.
Do I need to look at it again tomorrow? No matter what I write, I think I've got it done and I'm good. Not always. I will say, okay, I'm going to look at it again tomorrow.
Yes.
Do you do the same thing?
Absolutely. That, and I tell people right up, so say if I'm starting a new project with somebody, I was just talking to a prospective client today, she needs a bio done for herself, and she wants to reach out to new markets. And I said, well, generally I need about 3 weeks. Even though it's not a very big project, I need time to reflect. There's some, I have to incorporate it into the schedule, but the other thing is I need to kind of blast it out at first. I need to do a lot of reflecting, get it out, and then the next day I start to polish it, and then I'll type it up, and then the next day I look at it with fresh eyes, and then I see something else, and then usually within about 3 or 4 days when I'm working on earnest, I've got it pretty well done. But then I look at it again and again and again, and it might only be 5 minutes, but I might change a word, but it could change everything. And because what I want to deliver to that person is, I want every single word to pull its weight, because every word together needs to it's like creating a song. It's like creating, you know, it has to be perfect. It's the cadence, it's the imagery, it's just the feeling one gets when one reads something. And so every word needs to be right. And then granted, you know, once I share a piece with somebody, then of course, you know, there's usually some tweaks, but that's only natural because I don't know the person that well, but usually it's pretty right on because we start with a very big conversation, which I call a deep dive discussion. You know, it takes usually about 2.5 hours. And I send them a huge list of questions. It's a little bit, you know, like, oh my God. but we dive into everything about their values, their philosophy, their strengths, their history, what they bring to the table. And then we look at their business, their challenges, again, their strengths, what they offer, all the benefits, the features, everything. And then, of course, then we have to look at their clients, their customers. Who are they? What are their fears, their needs, their concerns, their gripes, their hopes, their desires, all of that. And what are they looking for? What is that dream that their clients are trying to solve? So we have to get into two worlds, their world and their client's world. And then when I've got my arms around that, that's when I can start connecting. And that's when I'm able to start writing for somebody. Because I could never presume to just start writing for somebody, you know, right off without having that deep understanding. A few times I've tried because people are like, oh my gosh, I really need this right away. No, I don't have time for that discussion. Can't you just do this? And I'm like, okay. And then it's like, oh, it's never the same as when you talk to somebody and you really have a very heartfelt conversation and you really, you know, you do that mind meld and you learn about them at a much deeper level.
And you know, I think that's why it's so hard to write about ourselves.
Oh yeah.
It's the hardest thing in the world.
It
I
is.
found it very hard. I've updated my website recently, and and I thought, well, you know, I'm going to make it about them, which is what I should do. You know, and ask a question, you know, and that kind of thing. And it's a lot better than it was. And it'll do for now because I just don't have, you know, it's not one of my main focuses. I needed to put a few new things in there, which I did. And but I'm never happy with it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So,
are you
same thing.
to
same thing. Oh,
yeah.
So I love this. I love this. There is another favorite marketing writing guru called. His name is Peter Barrowman. He's written bestsellers. He's just an amazing person. He wrote just these books that are like my Bibles or any copywriter's Bible for creating a business like what I have. And when I was struggling with my name and I had come up with some ideas, he just at that time he was offering this special, you know, chat with me for an hour, for this price, and I'm like, I could do that. It's worth it, so I can get this name right. And the name that I had picked, I thought it was okay, and he's like, might not want to do that one. I'm like, okay, I know it was a stretch, but I was like I said, I was really trying hard. So we ended up talking, and then we're talking about, I was also rewriting my website at the time, and he's like, Michele, think of it this way. Think about standing in a bucket and trying to pick it up. That's what it's like trying to write for yourself. I'm like, oh my God, okay, I get
Does
it.
that mean it's
so
impossible?
hard.
Oh.
well, maybe, but it's so hard to do. So I struggled. However, I was very fortunate. I was enrolled in a program that with Marcia Yudkin, my original copywriting guru, and she was offering this online marketing venue for people to write in. So she had like a community, and so she would critique my stuff. And so through this community, I got to recraft all my website copy. So it was really exciting for me.
That's great.
But that's why so many people struggle and they have such a hard time writing their own copy, because it's a difficult thing.
It really is. And you know, we say to ourselves, who knows me like me? You know, really. But sometimes we don't dig quite in the same way with ourselves that you would.
Yes, and I also find that a lot of times people, when they're writing their own bio, they know themselves as you said so well. However, they often overlook how splendid they are and some of the things that they've accomplished and that they take for granted. Like my friend Gina Moran, she's a designer, and she never thought about how wonderful it was that she has an art degree. So in addition to her graphic design education, she also has an art degree, which means she knows all about color, composition, structure. She was involved in all kinds of artwork. And so when I was helping her with her bio, she's like, oh, I never thought of it like that. I never looked at it that way. So that's the beauty of having somebody from the outside taking a fresh look at who you are and helping you unveil some of these wonderful things and then putting it together in a whole new, fresh way.
Absolutely. That happened to me. I had to write a bio. I was doing a blog talk radio education program, and my focus was teaching people how to blog. And this was a national program. Well, nothing's national anymore. It's all international because it's out there. But I had to write a bio. So I put together something, and I sent it, emailed it off. I got a call, and they said, we need to talk about this bio. So we got to talking, and of course I love to tell my story about, I started when I was 12, and I did this and this and this and this, and it was just great. And in other words, I never learned to really play until I was an adult, because I was always working. But anyway, that's another story. So they said, okay, I think we've got it. And they wrote me a bio, which is what I continue to use. And it was
Wonderful.
like, oh my God, that is so cool. What a great story. Oh yeah, that's me.
What a revelation.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We don't get it, we don't see ourselves as other people show us, and we don't want to toot our own horn. We don't.
Sure.
It's very
yeah.
rude to do that.
Yes. Oh, yes.
We were brought up to think that way. But you know what? Toot your horn if you got a good one.
Well, yeah, and it's beyond tooting your horn. It's letting people know what you have to offer. And if you don't lay it out there, people aren't going to know. They'll bypass you. So you have to let people know, some really special things about you. And unfortunately, most people, they end up placing their credentials first, which is, credentials are great, but can you translate those, flip them around so people understand what it means for them? Because never forget, what's really important, even though this about page or your bio is about you, you have to think about who's reading it. And so sneakily, it's positioning it for them. Again, just like everything else that you put out there, like in your website or any other, blog or marketing material, it's really for your reader's benefit. So can you flip those credentials around so they understand why is it important that you have this degree or that you attained that certificate or you worked at that particular place or you achieved that particular accomplishment? Can you just bring a nuance to it that has meaning to them? And then can you also, like you said, incorporate your story, tell your story authentically, but always keep in the back of your mind what's in it for your reader and why should they care? Because the more that you can keep that in mind and always think about it's almost like you have that person next to you, like as you're writing or crafting, it's like, think about why would they care? If I've done this and that, and how can it help them make a decision and bring them closer to wanting to work with you and wanting to connect with you?
It's kind of like at eWomen Network, which we both love, and we're both members, and I've had quite a few of them on here, including Marge and Annie. And the last show was Paula.
Yes.
I mean, just one amazing women, okay? We network, and that's what it's about, and it's also about helping one another, and it's amazing that way. I was still kind of floating around with my little elevator speech. I keep changing it every time. And then Amy was there. Amy and Colleen were there this at our monthly meeting. And they're from Ohio, and they own a PR and marketing agency. And I heard Amy talk about, I heard her give hers, and I went, oh, I've done that. She was talking about the 100% success she has in placing her clients in the media. And I went to myself, oh yeah, I've done that. And then I got to thinking, you know what? I've also, every client I've ever helped has increased their business from anywhere from 25% to 400% within the first year.
Wow.
And I thought, oh
Holy
my God,
cow.
Marilyn, that's huge.
That's huge.
It is. So guess what I did? I put that stuff out there on my website because I thought, gee, that's good. And,
Yes.
you know.
Yes, that's the transformation you offer people. And that's
Yeah.
a fabulous way to start your bio or anything that you do is, what is that ultimate transformation that you provide to people?
And that's the important thing. When your name, Right Transformation, it doesn't just reflect you and the transformation you've been going through with your writing.
Yes.
It's also us. We need to make sure that our writing is up to date.
Yes.
And we can tell people how we can help them transform with the way
Yes.
we write. I mean, it's
Yes.
just, it's a perfect name.
Oh,
It's
thank
great.
you.
I
I'm so
love it.
excited.
And we're going to have to take a break here for a couple of minutes. So start thinking about how this wonderful lady could maybe help you, okay? So we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. We'll be right back. Hang on.
Thank you.
Can you help me with this? My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
He helps me with homework.
That would be 3.6795.
Thanks.
Yep.
He helps me with my decision making.
I wouldn't use this one. Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
I'm learning so much.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Up, college is hard. Down, those books are heavy.
My sport is football, but my passion is education.
Right up here.
So every year I take promising high schoolers on a college tour
And lights there, darts there.
to show them that higher education means a brighter future. My name is Nnamdi Asamoah. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
You can be a reader, tutor, or mentor too. Take the pledge at liveunited.org/volunteer.
Do you wear this?
And we're back. We're here with Michele DeLima, and we're talking about the power of words. And it's really kind of interesting to hear her story because she made, the name of her business is Right Transformation, W-R-I-T-E, because my maiden name was Wright, so it throws me off here a little bit. But she's been talking about her own transformation, all the training, basically. And I have to say it is training in honing your ability of taking something that's flat copy and making it live, making it really represent the person that it's supposed to represent, and telling their story in a way that it's going to work for them.
Yes.
So, so we were talking about how you can bridge that gap. You know, we want to talk more about that because I want you all to be taking notes here, because this could mean anything from maybe you have to write a letter to your mother-in-law, okay? And however you word that could mean you may be disowned or out of the family, or it could affect your marriage, you know, that kind of thing. Yes, that's extreme. Okay, but I got your attention. So, so the words that you say could make a huge difference, and sometimes just changing a phrase or flipping copy,
Yes.
like you had talked about.
Yeah.
What are some of the other things that you share with people or that you ask people that help you help them?
Okay. So, say for instance, you and I were going to sit down and we were going to work on a project together, and I presented you with some questions like I referred to earlier. The way I would like to start is, you know, first I would ask about, you know, what are your core values? What are the strengths that you bring to your clients, and how do those, what are your core strengths and philosophy, and specifically, how do those things come into play with how you help your clients? And those questions help people start to realize that they have to understand who they are as people in order to really bring those things out to share with others, so that people understand that, oh, you know, I'm passionate, I'm really organized, I'm resourceful, whatever it might be. You know, so people start to get an idea. You have a few words to hang on, so people start to form an image of who you are right away. So, and you also, so you want to start weaving that in to say, like, if we were going to do a bio, you want to start weaving those kinds of words into your bio, so people start to know right away, oh, you know, she's, you know, caring, or, you know, whatever it is. And then, you know, we start looking at questions like, you know, tell me about your background, and what did you learn about, you know, what were the most important lessons that you took from that particular position, and what were your favorite things that you liked about that, and then, like, what are your favorite kinds of clients that you like to work with, and that way we start to uncover some ideas about the chemistry between, you know, say you and your clients. And then I'll even ask, what are your least favorite clients? What causes a problem? Because in that way, what we can do is very delicately either address some of those issues, you know, within the copy that we write, or we can even very delicately help, you know, push people off that you might not want to work with. You know, so say if, I don't know, this is like just an example, like you say you like to work with really heart-centered, open-minded people, and you really don't like working with, say, closed-minded people who just are too busy to consider anything. Then you might want to say, you know, the work I do is for people who really want to take their time, and they want to, you know, consider how important their marketing is. You know, this is not for the people who are in a big rush.
Right.
And then that way you don't have to offend anybody, but you can say, but then you can draw a line, and then people will, you know, those people who are really too busy and don't have time to really spend properly on their marketing, they'll be like, oh, maybe that wouldn't be a good fit for me, and that wouldn't be a good fit for you anyway, so it's not a loss.
Yeah.
So, and then we just, so we get into more questions about, you know, the benefits of your offerings. And what we try to do is really help people understand, you know, so say in your marketing, how that benefits your clients. It's providing them, you know, ultimately it's providing them connection to their ideal clients. It's helping them fulfill their own vision for the work that they want to do, and it's putting them in the right spot so that they can attract their ideal clients. And then when they do that, then their business grows, and then they serve more people, and it's that feedback loop that helps everybody. So those are the ultimate benefits, and then we also want to talk about a little bit about your process, because then there may be other places in your copy, say your website, for instance, where those questions are important. People might want to know, they'll want to know the transformation that you provide, but then they might want to know a little bit more about the process to see if it aligns with how they like to work. So those are several of the questions.
Yeah,
that we go
it's
through.
and there's it goes deeper too.
Oh, for sure.
That I know, but it seems like that first impression that you give people, they need to react to it as we all do, emotionally, first and foremost, which means they need to react to it, connecting what you're saying to themselves.
Yes, yes.
And that connection will then lead them to stay for more than just a few seconds.
Yes.
Which is what you want.
Yes.
And it also, the same thing translates to if you are a college student and you're facing graduation and you've got these places that you want to work and you've got to write your resume.
Oh, yeah.
That seems like that's another good place for people to keep these things in mind.
Yes, absolutely. And so when you are writing a resume, it's really like any other really solid marketing piece, as we've been talking about. If you want your resume to stand out from the hundreds and hundreds of other submissions, you do. And again, you only have moments to capture somebody's attention. And if you start in the same old way that everybody else does, that's kind of, tired and flat, you're not going to make any progress. But if instead you really put yourself into the reader's position, you put yourself into their shoes. So in this case, it's the potential employer, or it's that person that has to read through like those 600 resumes, and they're going like this. What's going to light their fire?
Yeah.
So those first few words, that first line, that objective, has to be something that really catches their attention. And that, again, it's like, what is the transformation that you provide? Well, sure, you might be 21 or 22, and you might not have had a long career, but by golly, there's something really special about you and magical about you that you can offer to the world and you can offer to an employer. So think about, what is that really special thing that you offer, and that you can help that company, that person, make their company better. And so look at the job specifications and think about, like, oh my God, this is how I can make their lives better. This is how I can really help them. So always put yourself in their shoes and think about it from that perspective.
And also, I would recommend to our viewers that may be in that position, they may be in transition between jobs.
Sure.
You might be 40, you might be 45, and you need to find a new job. It's always good to do research on the company that you are applying to, so that you can, in that objective, align that objective with their objectives.
Yes.
So that so that it looks like a good fit. That always grabs their attention.
Yes.
And then, of course, you have to back it up.
Yes.
with your credentials or your experience. And sometimes they say, it's not about you, it's about them. Well, initially it's about them, and then it's about you.
Yes. So I did help a friend of mine with his resume, and what we did is, after we had like a really big discussion about all his strengths and all the things that he did. And what we did is we really honed in on those particular strengths that are universal for the kinds of positions that he wanted to apply for. And so, again, we kind of drilled down into, he's in marketing and PR, and he likes working for nonprofit organizations, so that's where he likes to apply the work that he does. And so thinking about all the wonderful things that he brought to fruition and how he helped his own organization and other companies that he had worked for really achieve their goals. And so that's how we had that objective, like exactly what you said, just aligned with the company's needs and their goals, and then crafted strengths that he had, so whoever was reading it would say, "Oh my God, we need that."
Exactly.
I can see how that would apply to me, because he's somebody that truly believes in having a team that he provides the direction and then lets them run, so that everybody can feel really connected with the project and with the company, and everybody can really feel good. That's so important to him. So we found a way to express that, and I can only imagine somebody picking up that resume can say, "That's what we want. We want that collaboration. We want that creativity. We want everyone to feel that they have ownership and that they can really contribute."
And the nonprofit world is a tough, tough world.
Yes.
It really is. I know I'm pretty involved in, there are 3 organizations that I help, and I help them all a little bit differently. And one of them in particular, it's 10 years.
Wow.
The Terry Broder Breast Cancer Foundation. I bring it up every once in a while because it's near and dear to my heart. And we lost our executive director this year. And so one of the founders of the organization has stepped forward, and she says, "Oh, what the heck? It's our 10th anniversary. It's our big year. Damn, I'm just going to go for it, and I'll step in the interim." And we keep our ears and eyes open. Because when it's a big anniversary year, you don't want a new person. You really don't.
Yeah.
You want somebody that's been a part of the organization, that feels the pulse of the organization, and then can transfer that in getting other people to work as a team. And that's what we're hoping to do. We have our first official conversation tomorrow about it.
Great.
And but so what else can we share with people? Can we share that you've got a link on your website that people can then go and sign up?
Yes.
For what is it that they can sign up for?
5 must-have tips for engaging your ideal audience.
Ooh, yes.
Yes.
Hey, from an expert, people. Go to her website, and Frank will bring it up in a minute. And it's right there. There it is. Go to the website and sign up for her 5 tips. Hey, that's 5 more than you got right now. And you can always use tips to help you word things properly.
Indeed.
So thank you for offering that.
Absolutely.
To people.
Absolutely.
You've got so much expertise. It's like you've got so many more than 5, I know.
I do collect them. But
one of the other things I wanted to ask you, do you, it's not really coaching, it's more like speaking. Do you go out to organizations or groups and speak to them about the power of words and that kind of thing?
That's on the table for this year. In fact, I'm working on that right now.
Ooh.
I am crafting a workshop now, so I'd like to be bringing that out in the next few months.
Okay.
So
okay,
that's
that
something
sounds
I'd like to
great.
offer. I'd love to be able to offer workshops and help people, take copy that they have and craft it so it's really speaking to their ideal audience. So, for instance, the first one that I'd really like to do is helping people with their homepage copy, because so often that is just, it's not doing the job it can do to draw people in, and your homepage is the doorway to your world.
Yeah.
And it's, I like to explain it this way. Imagine if you're inviting your favorite author over for tea. Somehow you just magically, through friends, the universe, whatever, you got to meet your favorite author, and you're inviting them to your home, and you're going to actually meet them for the first time. So you get all dressed up, you scrub out the house, you lay out this beautiful tea, everything is ready, and 2 things could happen. Either they show up and you don't say a word, and they're like, "What the heck?" And then they're like, "Okay, maybe I'm in the wrong spot, I guess I'll just go." Or they show up, you open the door, and you proceed to talk all about yourself. And they can't get a word in edgewise.
Oh dear.
So keep that in mind. So what typically happens on homepages, either there's no copy at all, so people, they're not grounded. They arrive at your website. This is the foundation of your marketing platform, and they're like, okay, I guess I can look around, but gee, it would have been nice if somebody said hello and greeted me and pointed me in the right direction and kind of, threw me a few ideas to help me realize that this is a place I want to be. Or people show up, and if you just talk about yourself, like, oh, we pride ourselves on our 30 years of experience and, and great customer service, it's like, well, what about me? You're talking all about yourself instead of saying hello and asking me, how am I? And that's such a priceless opportunity when somebody shows up on your website. Again, like we were saying, you only have moments to catch their attention, and how are you going to ask them to stay?
Yeah.
By asking them about themselves. So in this first program that I would like to put together, it's really helping people understand that that's the mindset around creating a homepage. And then when you're crafting it, there's like 3 essential elements to the copy that you write for your homepage. And one is thinking about what is that most essential question, concern, or desire of your ideal audience. What can you say to them that's going to grab them right by the heart? Because you want to grab them by the heart and then the mind. And when you open that emotional pathway, that's when you have their attention, and you keep it and you build that trust, and that's when they start to realize, oh, she or he gets me. And then you talk a little bit about that. And then the next step would be show how you can provide the solution to help them solve their problem and make their life better. What is it about you or the offer that you have that can, connect them to where they want to go, help them get to where they want to go. And then the third element is having a call to action. Tell them what to do. It seems so simple, but people really want to be told what to do. And it could be as simple as, call me. I have, a free complimentary exploration session, or sign up for this program, or whatever it is. But tell them what the next step is, and chances are very good that they'll take it. But if you don't say it, then they won't, and then they'll start going around, and they might not do what it is that you really want them to do, which is essentially to connect with you. Because that's what your website is all about. And any marketing piece, it's to inspire someone to connect with you, and then you take it from there.
Exactly. I'm listening to you, and I'm going, let's see, I just did a change in copy on my website. Did I put a call to action? Did I say, call me? Okay, I gotta check that out. But it's these things that I know a lot, of these things, like a call to action on your homepage. And then, but do I do it for myself always? It's so weird, You look at yourself so differently than you do other people. And I just think it's great that you're going to do this. So people that go to your website, you can let them know, right?
Yes.
You can let them know that do they sign up with their email address?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's right there, front and center.
Okay.
I have on my homepage copy, I did what I just described.
Yes.
And then I say, call me for a free complimentary session, or email me now. And then I also have my email sign up right there. Right, the top right column. And then I also have it down below. So as they finish, reading my call to action, there's another opportunity right there. Get your free updates. Yeah. And then I even have, a link for the blog so that they can, they can get free insights, and then they can learn more about writing and ways of connecting with their audience.
So you not only help people by guiding them and writing for them, you also educate them.
Yes.
That's wonderful. You are a coach, even though you didn't maybe realize you are. You're a writing coach.
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Thank you for that, Marilyn.
You're welcome. Okay, now you have something else to put on your... I'm a coach too. Okay, wonderful. This has been wonderful. We've only got a few minutes left, and this has been so enjoyable. It really, really has. It was worth waiting 6 months for.
Marilyn, this has been a joy. I've loved getting to know you, and I've loved this opportunity. Thank you.
And this is great. This is great. I'm going to go sign up for them. I think I already did. Actually, I already did.
Oh, good.
I signed
Goody.
up for those. Yes, I just
Excellent.
have to now read them.
Okay.
That's
No,
important.
They're easy. They're easy to read. They're fun to read, and I provide examples too.
Good.
So
good,
yeah,
good.
I love learning by example.
And
Yeah.
I do too. And you know what? At my age, you would think, gee, she's done it all, she's heard it all, she knows. I don't. I learn something every day. I learn something from everybody I talk to, everybody I meet. And hopefully they learn a little something from me too.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
that's what keeps us all going and growing, which is a wonderful thing.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
thank you so much for being on our show. It's just been marvelous.
Thank
It's been
Marilyn.
great.
This
It's
has been
great.
lovely.
And let me know about the workshop, okay?
I will.
Because,
I'll keep you posted.
Even though I do a lot of writing, I don't know it all. I can learn more. I always like to now say a quote at the end of each one of my shows, something that kind of ties in with what we're talking about. And what we're talking about today is the power of words, which is a form of communication. So, Rollo May, whoever he may be, somebody, he said this, and I thought it was pretty good. Communication leads to community. That is, to understanding, intimacy, and mutual valuing. And that's pretty good. Yeah, I like that. Thank you, Rollo May. I'll have to look him up, see who he is. So remember that you can send me ideas of people to have on the show. You can email me, and you can also go to our website, and we've got all of our shows on there that we've done over the past year.
Yes.
And they're on all the pages. There's healthy living, there's around the community, there's a variety of subjects. And we're always looking for more wonderful people like yourself and like the other people that we've had on our show. There's a lot more out there that we can learn from wonderful people like this. And so remember, you can come back next time. And let's see, who have we got next? Oh, Old Saybrook in Connecticut. Their school, their middle school, has a program for their students, and it's all day, on health and wellness. And I was a participant in it last year. And so they're going to be on our next show, and we're going to be talking to them about how it developed. We're going to hopefully have a couple of students, because a couple of students that actually saved other people's lives from what they learned there. It's just an amazing thing. So that's what we got on our next show. So make sure you come back. A lot more to learn. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. Thank you for joining us.